Here we go. This is the October 23rd regular meeting of the Berthoud Board of Trustees. Would you please call the roll?
Mayor David Gray.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Jen Dunn.
Here.
Trustee Thomas Jones.
Here.
Trustee John Bauer.
Here.
Trustee Susie White.
Here.
Trustee Dick Shepherd.
Here.
Trustee Paul Allen.
Here. Thank you. Would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our first item of business is citizen participation. We've had no one sign up tonight, but this is the opportunity to speak to the board about anything that is not on the agenda this evening. Is there anybody that would like to say a few words to the board? Yes, sir. If you could come up to the podium and please state your name and address for the record, please.
Yes, awesome. Good evening, Kevin Jones. I'm the Berthoud BMX track operator. I'm here tonight. I got a couple things that I want to talk about, and then hopefully to get on the agenda in a future meeting. I have some parents here also supporting the program. I kind of gave them short notice, so we didn't have a lot of them that came. But I do have an award that I wanted to give to the town real quick, and then bring up a couple of things that maybe we could think about getting on an agenda. So here I got an award that says Berthoud BMX would like to thank the town of Berthoud for all of their support in the 2012 Berthoud BMX youth program season. We had a huge amount of success. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
This season, last year was actually an awesome season as well, and we continued with some growth. Got some stuff done as far as facility stuff goes. We got some fencing donated. Lots of things done over there. It's starting to look like a park and a youth program. And we're here tonight partially to give you that award. And also, we would like to put the bug in your ear that we are looking for more activity and interaction with the town. We want to do this with you guys, co-impart, become more involved with your rec program, as we have a lot of youth participating. And the additional assistance from the town is completely necessary. So we have a lot of people supporting the program who travel every week up to 200 miles from South Colorado Springs just to come race and participate in this program. Wellington, all over surrounding communities. We have usually around 150 people there and 50 participants throughout the whole summer, every week. And I brought some pictures of the park real quick that we can pass around. One of these pictures is a gentleman named Greg Hill. He's an internationally known BMX guy. He owns a bike manufacturer company. He's the only 5-time world champion in this sport. And he visited Berthoud, Colorado, and did a clinic for the kids. And there's a lot of kids riding this product, and I just have a picture of that. The next picture I'm going to pass around real quick is one of our more recent races. It was just a single point race, and there's double and triple points. And the more points, more people show up. So it's a regular weekend race, and there was like 88 riders or something and several hundred people, which all stopped at, A&W, Subways, any of the stores in town while they were here to get cooler ice, Hayes Market. It's boosting the economy, and this is a good thing for Berthoud. Yeah, I mean, there must be 50, 60 cars. I mean, the lot was 3/4 way full, and it's, you know how big the lot is. This is just one of the kids that rides there. And another angle of that same picture. And another picture showing one of our youth, 6 years old, getting national coverage, who's from Berthoud. So it shows that kids from this community are able to have an opportunity to get out into and get a national perspective on and life, and also maybe present Birth It across the United States. And they can get scholarships and other things from this besides exercise and all the good things of keeping kids focused and not graffitiing our garage doors and all those other kind of things. The other thing I'd like to quickly bring up that maybe would adjourn at another meeting that's on our agenda is if we could get like more security patrol and stuff out there. We have had some vandalism and damage, even some theft. So that would be good. And then again, just the support of what we have started to instrument, if we could get a little more regular participation from the town. We do appreciate everything that has been done. So I don't want it to sound like you guys aren't doing anything for us, because you guys are. But we just, the growth is there, but I need the town to be involved to reach, the program like we need to. I'm sure I'm missing a few things. I took some notes, but I kind of went off my notes, and because I don't really know what I'm allowed to bring up.
No, you're doing fine. And thanks for coming before us. Thank you for, it's certainly not lost on us, all the good you do for the town.
I seen Jeremy's here, so I know we have some trash in the, that it hasn't been being picked up regularly. And like in the last 3 weeks, I picked up the same trash like 3 times, and the cans keep getting blown over. And so maybe the season's over, we're not racing anymore. But if we can maybe get the last of that trash so we can keep it looking nice and presentable as a park, that would be a huge help. So thanks, Jeremy, also.
Jerry Wilson isn't here yet. He must went home and put a suit and tie on, I bet, for tonight. But Jeremy and Jerry did a lot this spring to help you guys out, hauled in truckloads of dirt. We put in a curb cut and created the parking lot and everything. Grass seed. Did that ever take off?
No,
It was a pretty
actually,
dry
you
year.
reminded me. Do you mind if I bring up something on that?
Go.
I would, on a future meeting, I would like to bring up the fact that I would like some more support in the fact that we need a little more soil over there to get some of the grades of the hills put the way they need to. We put down a lot of seed, and it just didn't take. Part of it was we couldn't get enough water on it, and then that field gets a lot of wind. Maybe we can look at, see if we can get a company to donate some hydro seed. I just don't think the way we seeded it is gonna take off. We get the high school kids over there to smoke or whatever they do, and the high school doesn't patrol that area, and they climb all over the turns. And so anything that would start to grow, they just destroy it by climbing up and down the hills. So I don't know what the next step is, but together, I think all of us could come up with a successful idea to make that take. And weed control is another thing. We've pulled lots of weeds, and they're still there, so maybe spraying a little more regularly would also help us keep that area go-ahead free, weed-free. And there's several things. I could go on till like 11 and bore you guys. But this program, I just get really excited about it. I've invested a lot of my own energy and money, and a lot of these parents have all also done the same. And it's now a program, and we're getting people from all over. And I can't tell you how many kids are over there. I know we've got a nice little skate park over here that not many people use, and we spent quite a bit of money on it. If we could get a third of that budget focused on the BMX track, we could have something that actually generates revenue and tax revenue for the community, and I guarantee that.
Thank you.
Okay.
Kevin, I'd like to thank you for all the work that you've put into this program. I know it sounds like you're very enthusiastic about it and very tied into the program, and I'm glad to see a lot of the parents here with their kids. And I think it's important that the kids have a program like that so that they get involved in a sport and they love it and they stick with it, and it gives them something to do, and so they're not out
Right.
wandering the streets.
It's a hobby, you know, like 4-H or anything else, and if kids are occupied constructively, they learn those core values of how to carry themselves as an adult and into being the professional realm of life, rather than kind of being left free to kind of discover what youth do discover. And so it's part of why I'm excited. Yeah, so thank you guys. I met you at the
Yeah.
Oktoberfest, so
Mike, would it be appropriate, I mean, I'll ask both of you, Kevin too, since it is the off-season, to just maybe schedule a time when the program might be able to get together with Mr. Ollinger and maybe try to come up with some more defined responsibilities, what we can help with, and areas where we, can support, but maybe don't have the manpower, but we can come up with a good plan of attack for next season.
right.
And then we'll have something to come back and talk to you about.
Yeah, I would be totally in agreement with that, and it still seems we're still trying to find out, waiting to hear if that's going to be our permanent location, and it kind of leaves us in limbo of how much we can really address to the property, even though I've kind of gone ahead with some fencing and the shed and stuff we put up to make it more of a permanent program, but that stuff's easily moved to another facility if there's a better permanent spot. So maybe as you guys talk as a board, if you have an idea where this program could benefit us and the town better in a different location, I think now would be the time to address that, so we can continue building rather than continue building for another season and then tear down what we started and cost everybody more time and energy to move and then regrow.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak before the board on an item that's not on our agenda tonight? Seeing none, we'll, I'm sorry. Yes, sir.
Just real quick, another item on the BMX. My name is Michael Blackmore. I live in Fort Collins, Colorado, and I come down here twice a week to race with my daughter in practice. And we have a track up in Fort Collins, but this man right here, he's the reason that we make that extra half-hour drive. Well, 1 hour each way, both ways. This guy, his heart's into it, and he's running a great program. And we race all over the state. We've been to nationals, and I just have never seen a guy that puts so much into it as Kevin and the rest of these parents, volunteers. So I just wanted to throw that out there, that it's really a great program for the kids, and can't think of a better way to spend a Friday night.
Thank you.
My,
Trying to keep up.
my skill level could not keep up with my legs, is what that comes down to.
We sure appreciate all the parents coming out too. It's a great program. It's well established. It'll have a home here. Whether it's that property or another one, it's been long established and done a lot of good for the town. Thank you.
Yeah, I've had an opportunity to go visit it, and every time I show up with my recumbent, the kids always look at me and say, "That can't go on the track."
All right, anybody else would like to come up? Seeing none, we'll move on to next item of business, which is the consent agenda consisting of the minutes from September 25th, October 2nd, and October 9th, the bills allowed for September, and the financial statement for September. Is there anybody who'd like to pull anything from the consent agenda before we take a motion? If not, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'd like to approve the consent agenda as presented.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. That passes unanimously, which takes us to intergovernmental agreement regarding the BATS rural funding, and Engineer Brothers will be presenting.
Good evening, Mayor and trustees. Yes, this IGA was brought to us from the city of Loveland. Also, the map that was included in the IGA that went out in the packet was the older version. I updated the new service area that we cover now. I believe the map they had included was an older version. So the newer version that was updated just last Friday, which I couldn't get out an email in time, includes our new service area map. So those two maps that were included in the one that was in the packet is the old service area, and that's gone. So this is, all they did with the updated IGA is this new map.
So no changes in the idea?
No changes for everything, just the map changed. So this map is in agreement with our existing service area for BATS program. So, as they addressed in the packet, we used to receive, this is our 5311, the federal money that we get. It's the rural money. So most of this money is based on the trips that are done outside of the town's city limits according to the map. So we basically submit an invoice of trips. We used to submit it to the county, and then we got paid for half of what we expended, so half of our operation costs. And so we only get half of what that fee is, and the maximum as in the IGA is like 55, but I don't think we've ever gone that high. So the most we'll see probably this year is about 33, 35 maybe. But right now, we've been sending these invoices to Loveland. We used to send them to Larimer County, and I think we only got 1 month, according to our town accountant. This is what we send. For example, this is what we send now to Loveland. It's still addressed to the county. We need to update that. But for now, this is what Loveland sees. It's our trips, and then you'll see how it's calculated out, and then it's 50% of what we of our operation costs for doing trips outside of that green area. Sorry, the maps are not colored.
Give you just a little bit of background while you're passing that around. As Stephanie mentioned that a few years back, the county was also involved in transporting rural people. And primarily that got narrowed down to just transporting in the Fort Collins area. And 2 years ago, when the county was running into some pretty big budget problems, you might all remember the discussion that was from that. They found out that they were spending an awful lot of money for just a few people, like 6 people, and decided they could no longer afford it. So the county got out of the transportation business in the rural areas. Fort Collins didn't provide any services outside of Fort Collins. Loveland's is a needs-based program, and Berthoud has kind of the only expanded program. And when the county got out, they continued to accept the federal funds and redistribute them, and then they decided that that was an administrative burden for them. Loveland then agreed to pick that up this last year and be responsible to accept the federal funds and redistribute them. After Eric left this summer, Stephanie is picking up those administrative responsibilities for BATS, and in meeting with Loveland and getting us all up to speed again and getting current on things, Loveland said, by the way, you don't have an IGA signed with us yet so that we can give you money. So that's what this is all about.
Does this change the funding at all, or just the conduit?
Just the conduit. And this only covers this fiscal year. To do 2013 and get that money, we'll have to do another IGA with Loveland for 2013, because they said they only do yearly IGAs. They don't do continuous IGAs.
And then we get our monies in arrears each year.
So it would be accurate to say this is a housekeeping matter to make sure the funds continue in their
Yes.
expected
Yes.
forms. Okay. Is there any questions for staff?
And there, so that there isn't any confusion, this is in arrears, so meaning that signing this IGA doesn't commit us to any level of service. Our 2012 reimbursement will be based, or 13 will be based on the service levels for 13.
If there's no questions, there's a recommended motion to approve staff's recommendation.
So moved?
Been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed? That passes unanimously. Next up, we have
Thanks, Steph.
county referrals with Planner Caters.
I'll kind of do the lead in on this. From time to time, If there's activities occurring just outside of our city limits, whether it be in Weld County or Larimer County, we'll get referrals from the two counties, notices to let us know there's activity going on and what's going on. And we're provided with an opportunity to comment on that and give our opinion. We had two in this last few weeks. One from Weld County, and that's the town of Meade is going to develop some property right up adjacent to Wilson Ranch, and we don't have any issues with that. The other is a piece of property just on the west side of town that in some of its history, I wasn't here, that tried to annex into the town at one other time, and there were difficulties and that didn't happen. We received notice from the county now that that property might be going through a county process, and that particular county process would put 60 of the 80 acres of this parcel into a 40-year, basically an open lands program. And so we wanted to make sure that we touched base with the family to be sure they understood what the commitment was before we sent any notice back to the county. And Planner Caters had originally proposed a draft letter that would said we kind of would oppose that because that's land that could be annexed into Berthoud at some point. I didn't want to send that letter or go any further with that till we had an opportunity to hear from the family to see what their wishes were. If that's the wishes and it's a win-win-win for the family and the other parties that are involved in this, then I think we ought to go along with that and it'd be a recommendation. So at this point, I guess probably would be best just to hear from the families if they're here tonight to talk about it.
I'm just gonna tighten up the microphone, but you have a fair amount of the family here, guys.
Good evening, my name is Karen Sorensen. Thank you for allowing me to...
Excuse me one moment, please. Just so that there's no appearances of any impropriety, I'm actually presently building a house right across the street from you guys across 19. So I'm just going to recuse myself from the discussion and any recommendations and turn it over to the Mayor Pro Tem to take care of this. Okay, I'm sorry I interrupted.
Okay, well, anyway, my name is Karen Sorensen. Thank you for allowing me to speak on behalf of my family, the Howarth family. My sister Marilyn Ellen, my brother Stan Howarth, and his wife Julie are here also. And as you are aware, our family has applied through the rural land use to divide our 80 acres into 3 small single-family residential lots and 1 residual lot of 60-plus acres to be preserved agricultural for 40 years. We could have asked for 4 residential lots, but thought the plan would be more acceptable to the community since for years the town has emphatically pushed preserving agricultural or green space. Our main objective is to continue our father's legacy by keeping the homestead with a few acres in the family. So none of us want to farm. And for one of our siblings to have 10 acres, we have to go through the county process to carve that out. And that's why our whole purpose for doing this is that. And so when we got the memorandum that said Mr. Caters was going to deny our proposition, to say that the restriction on the 60-plus acre parcel is short-sighted has had us confused. Because from 2004 through 2007, we tried to work with the town to extend the GMA as well as obtain annexation into the town of Berthoud. And so the first builder was denied, and he did want more density. So then we went through the county. When we got denied the GMA, the annexation. So then we went through the county, and we were asking to be granted 2.5-acre estate lots, not just tract homes. So it was going to be nice. It would have the green area. And it seems everyone was more concerned with the green space still. So after thousands of dollars and nothing but opposition for 3 years, the other developer backed out. The GMA wasn't changed to include us, and we were not annexed. So, if I may, I would like to refer to the Planning Commission meeting on February 8th, 2007. And on page 8 of 10, Robert Anderson was the planner at that time, and he stated, in regards to the west side, an applicant, Mr. Howarth, came to the town 3 years ago and expressed a desire to develop in the town limits. They were told to wait till the comprehensive plan and land use plan were being updated. The CAC had some heartburn with moving that line in the sand at North County Road 19. Staff's concern was that the property will develop in the county at a loss of $3 to $4 million to the town. And Mr. Anderson's integrity was questioned, and we were not approved because they wanted the green space. So then when I spoke with Mr. Caters, after hearing that he recommends that the town deny our request, I asked him if he thought the town would be considering annexing our property in the near future. And he said, maybe in the next 10, 20, or 30 years. His memorandum states that we could become a valuable part of this community development in the next 20, 30, and 40 years. Our property has been in the family since 1901. I would think that the rural residents would have at least some voice in regards to their property. And like I said, our main objective is to be able to keep a portion of the homestead in the family. And the only way we can carve that out is to go through the county. And we're all getting older, and 20, 30 years from now, I'll be older than my father, and I probably won't even be here, so. Anyway, before denying our request with the rural land use, we ask that you take into consideration that we have tried numerous times to work with the town, and I don't think our proposal is out of line.
I need to ask, and I guess I'd have to ask Tim about those comments, that it would be 10, 20, or 30 years before you could annex. I don't understand that. I mean, you could come in tomorrow if you wanted and ask to annex, and unless you're fearful because you've been through all that before, I think the situation has changed with the board. And I think you could do what you wanted as far as carving out 10 acres and be annexed and do what you wanted to with the rest. Is that the only reason you'll continue with the process through the county right now?
Well, we would like for our brother to be able to buy the 10 acres so that he can do, while he's young enough to be able to do something, because like with the process where we started before, we started in 2003 and 2007, nothing was done yet.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know why you couldn't come in and ask to annex next week. Tim, why would it?
You can.
So I don't understand that comment, I guess. Was there, maybe we better ask Tim to explain, because
Okay.
I'm not understanding.
All right, well, thanks for your time.
Oh, don't run off, don't run off.
Sure, and my, because the limitation on the property was for 40 years on the 60 acres, that was the example I used. Inside of that time frame, be it 20, 30, or 40 years, this would be a valuable part of the community. Because of the limitation placed on that property is a 40-year limitation, and it's pretty ironclad. I talked to the Larimer County planner, and she said it's sort of bulletproof. You can't change your mind once you go down this
From
road.
that aspect, was there a miscommunication on if they would like to try to annex into town again? That it could take 10, 20, or 30 years?
No, none at all.
Well, that was apparently your understanding?
I have those builders, I've even
Yeah.
gone back to
Oh,
the
okay.
original builder, and he said, I'm not touching it with a 10-foot pole.
Wow.
He spent so much money, both of them did.
Yeah, well, if you brought the 80 acres into town or subdivided and brought 10 into town, you could annex next week, I think, right, or asked
Well,
to?
it takes like 60 days.
Yeah.
If I've got a
Still
full,
have to be
yeah.
Just want you to know you have options. I don't think if you want to do what you guys are doing, that's fine. But you have options, I think, and I think you'll find a different business climate now than what you did a few years back. No, I really do. I
And
really
may-
do.
may I add then, I mean, I think that piece of property, I think is a valued piece of property for our community
Absolutely.
today. So
Yes.
not just in 20, 30, 40 years. I think it's something that, it's a wonderful gateway into the community.
Especially with everything going on with Heron Lakes.
So just,
Okay,
you,
so,
what we're saying is I think you have a much more, a different atmosphere here in the town.
what about the time frame?
You can come in anytime you want and ask to annex in. And like Tim said, if approved, it's a 60-day process and you're annexed. I know. I heard about the troubles you had before, and it
And I
seemed
want-
awkward to me that we would tell you no before and now be opposing you trying to do something in the county. It seemed
I
really
could-
awkward to me.
I could
so.
tell you, I was at that meeting in 2007 at the Planning Commission, and also vehemently opposed the position that the Planning Commission came with at that time, and so that's why I'm here now.
As a matter of fact, our planning commission,
Oh, you guys only have till the 29th to respond, right? That's what Stan's wondering.
yeah, something like that. You can probably pause that process with the county, can't you?
Well,
I think.
you could still, if you wanted to, okay our project or oppose it, whatever, and we could still come back later.
We're gonna do
right?
what you ask, or I would recommend we do what you ask us to do right now. But I just want you to know, this is a different group than it was before, and it's a totally different atmosphere.
I realize that
And
when
two
you're
of
all
these
in
people are on the planning commission now, so.
And I
think
would
you'll-
like to say too that I'm sorry that your father had to go through all of
Yeah.
that.
I'm sorry he didn't live to see the legacy he wanted.
Yeah.
So are we.
So if you're not wanting to landlock 60 of those acres,
That's what I would like.
you
to
have an
discuss-
option.
Discuss with the family and
Okay.
do come back and have it reviewed,
Okay,
soon, pretty soon.
okay.
Soon.
Will you let us know? Because you have an option here,
Okay.
okay?
So much for your time.
All righty.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Okay, so for now, I guess we just don't have any rebuttal for the county.
Okay, so at this time, then we would just bring it back to the.
I'm
board for
actually
discussion.
having lunch with the county commissioner on Friday, so I can bring that up with her too.
Okay.
Or not the commissioner, the
If I
county
could,
manager.
I just want to say to the family, I'm sorry for you guys struggling and having all those problems for all those years and being denied and trust, I believe Mike when he says that it's a different board, a different atmosphere, and we encourage you to do what you're wanting to do.
Yeah, I see it as a good addition to the town. It's right next to the town. It's a great homestead, which would be a good historical point for the town. Eventually, we could, so I don't see a problem at all.
If we were to write a letter to the county asking them to kind of continue this to another meeting, would that be a problem? Or would you not want us to do that? If you're in a big hurry, we don't want to get in the way. But
we're not in a hurry.
not in a hurry?
They want to know if you want to extend it, frame it to another meeting.
So we can write a letter to the county asking them if they would just delay this a little bit till you guys have had a chance to think about it? Okay,
And we're having a family meeting on Sunday, and then we would like to come back and.
all right. Well, it's,
So, thank
I
you.
just want you guys to know we're at your disposal. Anytime you want to come in and talk to Tim or me or anybody else, we're here, so.
Well, thank you very much. Do we have to stay till the end of the?
Nah. We've punished you enough, I think.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Julie.
Thank you all again. Thank you.
Yep.
Mike,
Thank
is
you.
there any other conversation that we should have then before we close this and move on to the next?
Bruce is gonna help draft a letter for us to send up there.
Okay,
We'll do that.
so that'll be the board action then?
Yeah, and I'm having lunch with Linda on Friday, so I'll kind of explain to her what's going on.
Okay.
Linda Hoffman, so.
So our letter to the county is going to request that they postpone
We're gonna ask them to delay action on this.
the delay action on this for any period of time, or?
And that request would be jointly made so that the county knows that both the applicant and the town are concurring in this request. So I think that'll probably be granted.
So in the minutes, you might want to say that we just discussed that with the family and they're in agreement that we'll write that letter together. So that's in our minutes and then we'll have those.
Great, well,
Okay,
I'll
that's
close item 7 and move on to item 8 and welcome the mayor back.
Thank you. Oh, actually, we still have the High Point rezoning. or
Oh,
were we
absolutely.
done
Sorry.
discussing that?
No, we did not.
No
discuss
objections?
that with the town of Meade.
Mike,
No, we have no objections to the High Point
do you need
zoning.
any discussion on that? Or is
Oh,
this just
unless you
informational?
guys want to talk about it,
Does
but
anybody have any questions about the High Point rezoning referral?
it seems to complement what's going on in Wilson Ranch, and Tim said it's what we expected to happen there, so. Anytime we get these, sometimes it's kind of standard for Tim just to draft a response. A lot of times I want to get at least let you guys know that we got the letter and what we did about it. We haven't always done that. An example's the dairy herd that we had last year. Wanted to be sure you guys knew we had dairy cows moving across the street from a subdivision, so.
Thanks.
Petting zoo.
We'll move on to reports. I am going to insert a very brief, we're going to set a record, very brief executive session after reports before we adjourn. But for reports, Trustee Albeck, do you have anything for the board?
Yeah, I just had a successful meeting on a field trip out to Heron Lakes on Saturday. There's a local independent Audubon group that meets in Berthoud, represents Berthoud and Loveland, and they were very impressed with what's out at Heron Lakes. Did a preliminary survey. Several eagles were there, so there was, and owls, and lots of good things to look at. So they're very, very impressed with what's out there, and they're talk with them about helping us monitor that, have a baseline for our management. And so I think we got a great partner there and a lot of interest. So that went really well. And then this week, the community gardening group is going to be meeting again. I'll be planning on attending. I don't know if you're, Susie, you're going to be coming too. Tomorrow night. Yeah. And they're going to try to get a little more organized. They had the architect is going to give us some ideas about the Wagner Farm proposal, and also they're going to try to form a subcommittee in Pioneer Park too. So I'll report back on that. I think they're making good progress.
Great. Thank you for attending.
Yeah.
Trustee Jones?
Yeah, the Historical Preservation Committee is on their way to getting the Fickle area, I'm not sure what you call it, but it's for a preservation to preserve the homes as a historical district. Thank you. Thank you, Susie. And so it's just in the beginning well, I should say it's been 6 years into it. And they're just building momentum on it again. And so in the next few months, the residents will be notified and what have you, and other items will be posted in numerous places about it. So, yeah, update.
Thank you. Trustee Bauer?
Last week I attended the CDOT Commissioners Dinner over at the Embassy Suites there in Loveland. It was not, unfortunately, an opportunity for me to talk directly and bring up the issues that we wanted to, but they did have quite a lot to say about their finances and how CDOT is looking at, different opportunities. One thing that people should know is that we have not had a good gas tax increase or a gas tax increase for quite some time, and those funds have already reached their peak and are being reducing. They're currently today, CDOT does not get any funding from the general fund out of the state. So there's a lot less money to spend around on transit, and every one of the regions have their needs. So just be aware that, every time we go and want them to do some improvements, and that's just as a general public, CDOT does have those challenges ahead of them. They are looking at, trying to make people understand that the gas tax is a very small percentage. What we're paying and seeing in the increases in the gas rates is the price of oil and the price for producing that gas. But that gas tax hasn't changed at all. And that gas tax goes directly to supporting our roads, and we may be looking at an initiative here in probably 2013 to increase that tax to probably add a little more funding into CDOT and help spread that around the area. So that's kind of one of the biggest information pieces that we heard out of that, and had an opportunity to meet all the commissioners. I still once again urge the mayor and our town administrator to meet with Johnny Olson to talk about those specific issues. He's very open to hearing and trying to address it if we go ahead and address with him directly, and trying to meet with him and help that go through that process to address the issues that we're having with Highway 56 and County Road 7, as well as 287 and the reclassification. Also, Cecil Gutierrez was asking if we could go ahead and bring that issue up at the next regional meeting that Jan and I think the administrators that you guys go to in terms of a transit piece.
The 287 quarter meeting?
Yes. Because he was not aware of the classification of 287 as an expressway. So that's a interesting piece that,
Really?
yeah, he was not aware of that, according to Cecil.
I see.
All right, thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Dowker.
So there was the CML Policy Committee meeting last Friday that I went to, and then left that to go to the state softball tournament because I had to go and report on the Berthoud team that was there. And we got to the quarterfinals and then lost. So at the CML meeting, there's a lot of conversation on oil and gas issues, and so that's definitely something for us to watch. They're looking at potentially forming a subcommittee specifically to deal with those issues, which are some dealing with the best available technology, some are dealing with the legal aspects, and some are dealing with issues relative to home rule versus statutory. And so that was the hot topic of the day. And Meade was the one that brought it to the forefront. They have a number of issues relative to air quality and relative to jurisdictional.
Oil and gas?
Yes.
They've been popping wells out of the ground.
And that's part of the issue. They're feeling like they're under the gun, it's moving very fast, and they don't have a grasp on how to come up with good agreements that will protect constituents on air quality issues and such. So there was great conversation, and CML is definitely at the forefront, and there's a lot going on with the COGCC relative to new rules that they're presenting that address those issues, and that oil and gas has come to the table and said, we want to work with municipalities, we want to be a good partner. So it was a very positive conversation, but it was something that we had. This week, so Monday, the MPO met and narrowed the executive search resumes down from 10, and then we'll meet again on November 1st to review those more. We have a finance meeting with the MPO. They have a finance committee now, and I'm on that in my spare time. No, so that'll meet Thursday, and I think that's, the joint regional elected officials meeting in Fort Collins. So I'm planning to attend that with Trustee Shepherd and some mayor, and so whoever's going to, so I'll be at that as well. And that is my report.
Thank you. Trustee White. Trustee Shepherd.
I don't have anything this week either.
Thank you. Michael.
Some quickies. To remind everyone that the meeting next week starts at 6. That's a joint meeting between the Planning Commission and the board. Stan Everett to kind of be the host speaker that night. We're going to start the discussion about reviewing the comprehensive master plan. So it should be a big, interesting evening, but could take a while. It should be a pretty good discussion. This Thursday night is the meeting Jan was talking about in Fort Collins. And I think maybe, Paul, you were the only one that weren't able to attend. You had a prior commitment. And everyone else, I think we had a confirmation from. So that's great. This is the one we were invited to in April when David and I were out of town. And then we didn't get an invite. Now we get a re-invite, so that's great. And I'd like to see everybody get to that. It's been a number of years since we bid out the city's banking business. And we've had the same auditor for, I think, 5 or 6 years running. Mary is not here, but so we're bidding out both the audit services and the banking services for the town. And we just let that bid to the 4 banks here in Berthoud. We didn't go out of town with that. So that's going on right now, and when we have a recommendation, we'll bring that back to the board for both an audit group and the banking services. So that's it.
Okay. And Mayor Pro Tem reminded me of something at this regional CML meeting that we were at a couple weeks ago.
Yes, District 2.
And regarding oil and gas, it sounds like Erie really got out on the forefront of this, and I know Attorney Bell has been working on bringing some things to us, and just would ask that maybe he check and see if there's something to be.
We're trying to stay up to speed. Is there more fine-tuning the board would like to see? We just kind of went in with the standard platform right now, and we're kind of following the state. We're not getting too much more proactive than that right now. Tim was trying to get an inventory put together for us so the town could find out what mineral rights we have that we could get leased out, because we were getting some offers 3 or 4 months ago. They weren't substantial, but it was money. But we didn't know what we had, so we hated to sign any commitments or anything like that. So that's kind of in process right now too yet.
I know he mentioned he pulled from several different municipalities. We might just see if Erie was among them, and if it wasn't, maybe it's something he should just glance at to see
Okay.
what they've done and why the CML was talking up the efforts that they had made.
Okay.
Did they mention Fort Collins? Because I know they're about to adopt regs for oil and gas.
As I recall, only that they were in a process, but
Because I've been following. I know they've got a lot of people following pretty carefully in Fort Collins, so I definitely watch that too. I think that was pretty useful. I think it makes sense that what we did made a lot of sense, because I think what is it, November 14th? There are going to be the hearings on the new regs for oil and gas, and so it seems like things could easily change in a few weeks, and so it makes a lot of sense. We've got kind of the template,
I think
and then just
Attorney-
keep aware of how it
I
evolves.
think Attorney Bell said he had pulled from several northern communities, and then also checked Longmont to make sure we weren't doing something
Exactly.
that might get us sued. So.
Because I think at that point, Fort Collins didn't have their proposal yet. Now I think they do.
And tonight, Loveland is actually having a meeting, and they're having ongoing conversations at their
They kind of
town board
froze
meetings
everything, yeah, so tonight they're
until
trying to adopt some
February.
regs.
Yeah, they have a moratorium.
We're always happy to plagiarize.
Right.
With that,
Longmont has an initiative on their ballot
Yeah.
but that,
prohibit fracking.
Yeah, and Fort Collins didn't have a lot of activity yet. They were just kind of looking ahead. And what they preferred is one-on-one negotiation with each of the oil and gas companies to establishing hardline regs, I think, up there.
Yeah, that's what it sounded like. Yeah.
Everybody kind of wanted compatible arrangements, and the oil and gas companies want to work with communities. That's absolutely correct.
Yeah.
Just CSU $5 million for research and development specific to the oil and
Or like-
gas industry.
Right. For fracking. Yeah. Right. That's going to be a good study. Yeah.
We've had intermittent discussions about updating our IGAs with both Larimer County and Weld County.
That's in process. Bruce and Tim are both working on that right now.
Okay, so we've got that, 'cause that entails, that would include these kind of oil and gas.
Well, it could. That's what Attorney Bell suggested, that we
Yeah.
try to address the oil and gas and the road damage in these IGAs. And Bruce is looking at, the holdup right now is me. Bruce sent him over a couple of weeks ago, so
Okay.
I got to get them reviewed.
thank you. Next, if I could have a motion, we need to very briefly retire into an executive session before we come out and adjourn the regular meeting and move into a study session. So we got a lot of sessions tonight. The reason for the executive session is contract negotiation. So would there be a motion to?
I move that we move into executive session to for the purpose of discussion contract negotiations.
I'll sec.
It's an opportune break for us. We're going to set up for the budget discussion here, so.
Yeah, and they're going to set up for our return. So all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And those opposed? We will be back shortly.
Thursday.
That's what I was thinking.
We'll do the plan on a couple hours of lunch or something.
Thursday is chamber.
All right, we're back from executive session, and I need a motion to adjourn from the regular meeting and move into a study session.
So moved?
Been moved and seconded. Is there any objection? If not all, or any discussion, sorry. If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, we're adjourned from the regular meeting.
Okay.
So everybody come up here.
Little lead-in. You remember last year we started a new process for the budget. It's kind of the budgeting for outcome, sort of. What do we do with our time right now? How do we spend our time? What product do we produce? And is that in line with where the board wants to go? What are the quality of life issues? What do we need to maintain? So we went into a whole new accounting system, so to speak, to where each of the departments tried to keep track of their time more or less on a daily basis, and how did they expend the man hours that are in their department. So it's been a confusing year for everybody. It's been a trying year, but everybody's getting better at it. And Faith turns out she can whip about anybody we got in the department, so she's got them all in line. And Faith and Mary have, especially Faith, put a ton of time into this year's budget presentation. So we're going to take this in bites. Tonight it's going to be parks. I still got a little out of my chest. It's going to be parks and it's going to be public works tonight. And then on the 6th, I think.